So let's take a trip back in time, you guys, and we're going to tell you exactly why we knew that this was going to happen. This is exactly what happened. Trump would gut and privatize U.S. climate and weather agency, experts fear. This is an article, April 27, 2024. Watch this. Climate experts fear that Donald Trump will follow a blueprint created by his allies to gut the NOAA, disbanding its work on climate science and tailoring its operations to business interests. This is what he wants. Joe Biden's presidency has increased the profile of the science-based federal agency, but its future has been put in doubt if Trump wins a second term, at a time when climate impacts continue to worsen. The plan to break up NOAA is laid out in Project 2025 document written by more than 350 right-wingers and helmed by the Heritage Foundation. Called the Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise, it's meant to guide the first 180 days of presidency for an incoming Republican president. The document bears the fingerprints of Trump allies, including Johnny McEntee, who is one of Trump's closest aides and is senior advisor to Project 2025. The National Oceanic, and Atmospheric Administration should be dismantled and many of its functions eliminated, sent to other agencies, privatized, or placed under the control of states and territories, is what the proposal said. That's a sign that the far right has no interest in climate truth, said Chris Gloninger, who last year left his job as a meteorologist in Iowa after receiving death threats over his spotlighting of global warming. The guidebook chapter detailing the strategy, which was recently spotlighted by E&E News, describes NOAA as a colossal operation that has become one of the main drivers of the climate change alarm industry and, as such, is harmful to future U.S. prosperity. It was written by Thomas Gilman, a former Chrysler executive who during Trump's presidency was chief financial officer for NOAA's parent body, the Commerce Department. Gilman writes that one of NOAA's 6 main offices, the Office of Oceanic and Atmospheric Research, should be disbanded because it issues theoretical science and is the source of much of NOAA's climate alarmism. Though he admits it serves important public safety and business functions as well as academic functions, Gilman says data from the National Hurricane Center must be presented neutrally without adjustments intended to support any one side in the climate debate. But NOAA's research and data are largely neutral right now, said Andrew Rosenberg, former NOAA official who is now a fellow at the University of New Hampshire. It in fact basically reports the science as the scientific evidence accumulates and has been quite cautious about reporting climate effects, he said. It's not pushing some agenda. The rhetoric harkens back to Trump administration's scrubbing of climate crisis-related web pages from government websites and stifling climate scientists. This was during his first term. It's one of those things where it seems like if you stop talking about climate change, I think that they really truly believe it will just go away, he says. They say this term climate alarmism, and while the existential crisis of our lifetime is alarming. Weather Service, NWS, which provides weather and climate forecasts and warnings, Gilman calls for the service to fully commercialize its forecasting operations. He goes on to say that Americans are already reliant on private weather forecasters, specifically naming AccuWeather and citing PR release issued by the company to claim that studies have found that the forecasts and warnings provided by the private companies are more reliable than public sectors. The mention is noteworthy as Trump once tapped the former CEO of AccuWeather to lead NOAA, though his nomination was soon withdrawn. The claims come amid years of attempts from U.S. conservatives to help privatize companies enter into the forecasting arena. Proposals that are nonsense, says Rosenberg. Right now, all people can access high-quality forecasts for free through the NWS. But if forecasts were conducted only by private companies that have a profit motive, crucial programming might no longer be available to those whom business executives don't see value, said Rosenberg. What if air quality forecasts in underserved communities? What about forecasts available to farmers that aren't wealthy farmers? Storm surge forecasts in communities that aren't wealthy, he said. The front lines of most climate change are black and brown communities that have less resources. Are they going to get the same service? Private companies like Google, thanks to technological advancements in artificial intelligence, may now indeed be producing more accurate forecasts, said Andrew Blum, author of the 2019 book, The Weather Machine, A Journey Inside the Forecast. Those private forecasts, however, are all built on NOAA's data and resources. Fully privatizing forecasting could also threaten the accuracy of forecasts, said Gloninger, who pointed to an AccuWeather's well-known 30 and 60-day forecast as one example. Analysts have found that these forecasts are only right about half the time, since peer-reviewed research has found there's an 8 to 10-day limit on the accuracy of forecasts. You can say it's going to be 75 degrees out on May 15th, but we're not at that ability right now in meteorology, said Gloninger. Privatizing forecasting could incentivize readings and even further into the future to increase views and profits, he said. Commercializing weather forecasts, an amazing example of intergovernmental American-led post-war technological achievement, would also betray the very spirit of the endeavor, said Blum. In the post-Second World War era, John F. Kennedy called for a global weather forecasting system that relied on unprecedented levels of scientific exchange. A privatized system could potentially stymie the exchange of weather data among countries, yielding less accurate results. The founding of weather forecasting itself showcases the danger of giving profit-driven companies control, said Rosenberg. When British Vice Admiral Robert Fitzroy first introduced Britain to the concept of forecast during the Victorian times, he was often bitterly attacked by business interests. The reason? Workers were unwilling to risk their lives when they knew dangerous weather was on the horizon. Yeah, the ship owners said, well, that means I may lost a day's income because the fishermen wouldn't go out and risk their lives when there was a forecast that was really bad. So they didn't want a forecast that would give them a day's warning, Rosenberg said. The profit motive ended up trying to push people to do things that were dangerous. There's a lesson here. Is there a lesson here? That was from April 27th, 2024. Yeah, by Darna Noor. Thank you, Darna Noor. And exactly, this is exactly what's happened. They predicted it. Mother Jones was reporting it in April of 2024 that they were coming after NOAA because it was in Project 2025. And who amongst you listened? Who amongst you knew that? Tell me about it in my comments and tell me what you think about this. These cuts are going to kill people. They already have. They've shown that. The deaths of these children belong directly at the feet of these people, this administration.